I'm back in business on this Philco 623 project. I placed an order with Mouser Electronics for several projects, including this one, so I've got a bunch of caps for it. I also placed an order with Radio Days for the toner lacquer I need to finish off the cabinet, some nice reproduction decals, and these have recently been redesigned and are truer to the originals than the ones they were selling previously, I understand. And I got some capacitor shock mounts. The original on this are dried up and rock hard, and it's really not very stable. Of course, I'm also working on this Predictor Tandem set and my Philco 15DX over there, so I'll just tag team between these three projects. For sure, though, I'm going to get this cabinet done really soon because we've got another little heat wave coming up. We've been down in the 30s and 40s for the past week, but we're supposed to get up well into the 60s, may even hit low 70s this weekend. So I'm going to prep the cabinet, mask off the inner brown walnut portion, and get ready for spraying this in 1 or 2 days when it gets warmer. Alright, I'm finally ready to spray the rest of this cabinet with the extra dark walnut toner lacquer. It's warm enough up here in the attic. I just wish it was a little bit sunnier today, but I'll take what I can get. This stuff is fairly opaque, so I think it should only take about 2 or 3 passes to completely cover. I'm staying about 1 foot away and overlapping each pass. I just want to keep the can moving, otherwise you get runs. It took about 4 coats of the extra dark walnut to completely cover the wood grain. And after that I put on a couple coats of clear gloss. Once this cures up a bit, I'll do some light sanding and then put on a few more coats of clear. But for now, take off this masking paper. You want to pull off this tape at a bit of an angle to reduce the risk of pulling up any lacquer. Looks pretty good so far. Alright, just one odd looking little place right here. That's any big deal. I think maybe a little bit of sanding residue was caught into the tape or something like that. I'll have to do a bit of light sanding and put on clear gloss that'll melt away. Alright, just one other thing I can do right now, and that's put on a decal, because I did this over a week ago, so this is plenty cured up. If this had just been sprayed on a couple hours ago like this, I would not recommend putting on a decal. You want to wait at least a few days for the fumes to outgas from this lacquer. So, I'll get out the decal set that I just picked up, and it will go on right about here. The decal is what they call a water slide decal. It's a thin piece of transparent material with the letters printed on it, with a paper backer and kind of a slimy adhesive in between that dissolves in water. So what you do is you put this in a little dish of warm water, as like so, and after a few seconds the clear decal will start to separate from the backer. Bring it over to your surface at that point, and it also helps to dampen this a bit first, and then you carefully slide the decal off the backer. So like maybe position it like right above where you want it to be and then slide it down. I checked my reference photos, and the decal is supposed to be placed so it's centered vertically between this line and the opening of the grill, and the vertical L part of the Philco just right of center. So something just about like that. So I'll just eyeball it. I've done this a few times, so I've kind of gotten the hang of it. There's also a product called Microsol, M-I-C-R-O-S-O-L, that can aid with this. I've never tried it, but apparently it sort of like softens the decal, and so it kind of melts into the finish a little bit. But even with just using plain water, I've never had any problem. After the decal dries, just put a few coats of clear lacquer over it and protects it, and it looks just fine, I think. I just finished sliding the decal into position. Once I had it in the general area, I used a Q-tip like this, just as a straight edge, so I could line it up against this top edge and the bottom of that speaker grill opening. And I think it's on there right. Now I'm going to smooth it out a little bit with the tip of the Q-tip just to get any bubbles or wrinkles out of it. But you want to be really careful at this stage. One, so that you don't knock it out of position, and two, that you don't tear it or wrinkle it or anything. But if I do mess up, I can always slide the whole mess off and start over. That's why they give you a whole bunch of decals like this, because inevitably mistakes do happen. But right now I'm happy with where it is, and I think this will work out alright on the first try. Alright, so that takes care of the decal. I'll let that set up overnight, which will also allow the lacquer to cure. And tomorrow I'll give it a light sanding and put on some more coats of clear lacquer. It's going to be in the 60s all weekend, so I hope to finish off both this cabinet and the Predict Tandem cabinet. While I wait for a coat of lacquer to dry on the cabinet, I want to start taking a look at this chassis. I got problems with my 643 with burned out coils, so I want to make sure I don't have the same problem with this set. So I located the service info and I made a copy. They show the resistance readings, I think, for every single transformer and coil on here. So I'm going to start going through these. So we've got antenna coil, oscillator coil, IF, output driver, and finally the output transformer here. I'm doing a little cleaning on the top side of the chassis now, and it turns out that this chassis has the same type of goo on it as my Philco 643 did, and I'm cleaning it off using the same technique, just paint thinner. Just slop it on, and dissolves pretty quickly, and beneath that grunge is a pretty clean chassis. I thought maybe on the other chassis that was stuff that leaked out of the transformer, and because on that set the transformer was open. But this one tests okay, so I don't know. It may have all come out of that, but it's hard. I find it a little bit hard to imagine that enough stuff would ooze out to cover an area, quite large. I already cleaned this section. This was coated as well. That'd be a lot of material to come out of that little transformer. I'm happy to announce that all the coils and transformers tested good. I also found it curious that all but one of these tubes are the original Philco branded tubes. Well, I don't know if they're original, but they are Philco branded and they have the same font style, so I think it's a fairly safe bet that they are all the original tubes. I was also told online that it's not uncommon for these sets to be in really good condition because they just weren't used all that much. You'd have to kind of ration your battery charge because it was a hassle to recharge them or buy replacements. And I would imagine in a lot of areas these were obsolete before too long as electric lines were run out to the farms.